In this video, I want to share an update on my index fund investing. It's only been a few months since I got started, but I want to share an update as to what I'm currently doing with my index fund investments and also share how this most recent market crash in March has affected the way that I have currently set up my index fund investing now and for the future. So let's get into it. Now, if you're new to my channel, my name is Kokun, and in this channel, we discuss money management, real estate investing, as well as career building. If those are topics of interest to you, consider subscribing. So out of full disclosure, I only really started to invest in index funds since April 9th when I just set aside $100. And since then, I slowly increased my contributions up to the point where I'm at now, which is I set aside 5% of my total income, this is before taxes, into a separate investment account that goes directly into index funds. And in the short few months since I got started, it's been able to build up now currently to $3,286.63. Not bad, right? Here's how it works. I work as a real estate agent and my income is variable. It's basically whenever I get paid a commission check. So as a result, the way I have my account set up is that each time I get paid a commission check, that goes into my Tangerine checking account. And within the money rules section of Tangerine, there's an option to pay yourself first. So as long as I mark that deposit as payroll/employment income, 5% of that deposit gets transferred to a Tangerine savings account. Now, Tangerine doesn't allow you to invest into index funds. They sort of have their own mutual funds. So the way I've set it up right now is that I have to manually transfer each transfer in that savings account to my Wealthsimple Trade. Basically, it's a stock brokerage account, which is free, no commissions in terms of any cost to purchase index funds. So each time I get paid, the money gets transferred to my Tangerine savings account automatically. I transfer it to the Wealthsimple Trade account, and then I go ahead and invest those funds into the index funds. Now, the specific index funds that I currently invest in right now are VFV, which is the Vanguard S&P 500 Index Fund ETF. So this is an index fund that invests into the 500 largest American companies. And the other one is VCN, which is the FTSE Canada All Cap Index ETF. So this is an index fund that invests into 189 Canadian companies. And the split I currently have is I put 75% into the S&P 500, the American stock market, and then 25% into the Canadian stock market. Now, the reason I invest into index funds specifically is that it allows me to get broad diversification. I'm not picking any individual stocks while keeping my costs very low. So the average index fund fee is less than 0.1%, whereas with mutual funds, it can be anywhere from 2 to 3%. And between those two index funds that I purchased, I get basically exposure to close to 700 North American companies, which I feel is a very good diversification. So let's talk a little bit about what I don't do with my index fund investing. Currently, I do not own any bond ETFs. My thought process is this: the money I'm setting aside for this index fund investing is for the longer term. So I'm 24 right now. This is money that I'm hoping not to use for the next 20, 30, 40 years. It's sort of to build on the side. And I do not own any international index funds. So I only own the Canadian and the American index funds. The reason for that, I was watching a video from Jack Bogle, who's the founder of Vanguard, which is one of the largest index fund companies in the world. He was saying something and it really made sense to me, which is that more than half of the income that the S&P 500 companies make is from outside of North America. So more than half of their income comes from their international operations. And these are large companies. Like if you imagine McDonald's, they have locations around the world, right? So instead of owning index funds of international companies where there's currency risks and different risks with the companies that are based in countries all around the world. Instead, I simply want to get that diversification through the American companies, and maybe it won't perform as well as the international stocks. Who knows, right? it's really hard to predict these things. I want to keep my life simple and my investing simple. So as a result, I don't own any international index funds. I don't pick any individual stocks. I exclusively focus my investing on these 2 index funds. I even question sometimes if I need to have 2 index funds versus just like 1. But anyways, right now it's 2, and I do not try to pick individual stocks, nor do I try to pick the timing at which I buy my index funds. My timing is when I get paid. When I get paid, money hits my checking account, hits my investment account, then I buy the index fund. I don't try to time it. I don't try to find the best time to buy or sell. I take that completely out of the equation. And the fourth thing I don't do is I actually have a separate emergency savings account aside from my index fund investing. So if some emergency were to happen, I needed money, I'm not forced to sell these index funds. I have a separate savings set aside for emergencies. So only in a really drastic situation where I don't have enough saved in my emergency funds would I ever need to dip into this index fund. You don't want to be forced to sell at an inopportune time. For me, the money I put into these index funds, I want to let it sit there, allow it to grow so that it can really get the long-term growth instead of me trying to take it out just because something comes up somewhere else in my life. One question that is worth asking is, what is the purpose of my index fund investing? If you've been watching this channel, you'll know that for the last 7 years, I've been investing in real estate, and that is where the majority of my net worth is tied up in. So why have I started investing in index funds? For me personally, there's a couple of reasons. One is I want to create a diligent savings plan within my personal income. So whenever I get paid, I'm setting aside a portion, I'm investing it automatically, so that it creates this system where I'm living on less than what I make. I'm setting aside a little piece of each paycheck. That personally gives me motivation to keep working hard because I know that every time I get paid, there's some piece of it that I get to save and the rest I can spend. The other piece of it is I am truly gung-ho about real estate. I believe in real estate. I truly believe that my real estate investments are going to make more money than, even my income and any other investment I can do combined. However, there's a little voice in the back of my head that says, what if I'm wrong? What if my thought processes and my analysis is wrong? What if I don't account for something? What if something that's never happened before comes up, and what if I am wrong and then within a certain period of time real estate performs very poorly? Because of that thought process, for me, having this nest egg set aside in index funds personally gives me a little bit of comfort that I have something else building wealth for me outside of real estate. Once it grows to a sizable amount, if that fear happens, right? If something crazy happens in the real estate market, maybe it puts me in a position where I have liquidity to keep my rentals afloat. Again, I don't know what the situation is, but if money is needed, I have some set aside. And maybe it's an opportunity to buy some more real estate if things really get hit hard. Again, I don't know, right? But the idea of having a buffer, a sort of separate investment, separate savings aside from real estate really gives me some comfort. I kind of look at Warren Buffett in his investing, and he is heavily invested into the companies that he's buying stocks, as well as like large companies that they own directly. But at the same time, he has like this large amount of cash, and he always says that he never wants that to go to zero. He always wants to have a buffer. Now, when a good opportunity comes up, he will spend part of it, but then as that amount shrinks, the opportunities have to become better and better for him to be willing to part with that cash. So in a way, I'm looking at my index fund investing as that cash. Now, I don't want to just have a ton of cash sitting on the sidelines. So I want it to be invested in something that I believe in, which is index funds. However, the goal with this is let it grow on its own. And if there is some other opportunity that I feel it's worth taking it out to put it into, then I'll evaluate at that time. But this is something I just want to build on the side. So I hope you found that helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. And until next time, all the best.